We're going to get started with the first meditation tonight. And unless anybody has any questions or things they want to share before we start. Has anyone not heard of what an NDE is? Near-death experience. There's some common near-death experiences. There's been thousands upon thousands of studies now of people who have had them, and there's some common factors below them. It's people who've maybe died for a few minutes or sometimes a few hours, and they come back to life somehow, and they tell of these different journeys. But there's a lot of commonality in some of these journeys. And one of the things they say is, it's so much more real than here. They're like, now here doesn't seem real anymore because that is so real. And the other thing they say is, there was just so much love. Everything had love in it, behind it, around it. Do you see? In our solar system, love is the driving force that builds all forms. So behind every form is a soul, a loving consciousness that's there to help teach us, to help us having certain experiences. Do you see? And the reason I bring that up is one day you're going to be on your deathbed and two things are going to become clear. Before you die, you're going to be looking back, hopefully, and you get to say what was important and what wasn't important. Why did I get so caught up on those little things or that person or what they said or whatever? And then you cross over, and then some of the things that you thought were some of the bad things, or the bad people, or the injustices that happened to you, you see a whole loving intent behind it. Do you see? Some of the things that you thought were so bad, how someone might have treated you, for instance, all of a sudden you're seeing the big picture behind it, and you're like, oh, that person decided to come into this lifetime to help me experience or learn what? And they risked their soul for me for that? They had to go through all that pain and suffering too? Do you see? You see things through such a broader lens that you can see love in all things, in all beings. Do you see? The thing that we are trying to figure out is so hard to figure out with some of the questions we ask. The questions are what's important. But the reason it's hard to figure things out is because we're looking at these things through a lens of judgment. And when you're judging things, you're separating from them. Do you see? And if you're separating from them, how are the things going to teach you? Right? And that's the idea, is how do you, instead of having this lens through which you're looking through your life and really skewing everything that's happening around you, how do you pull back and have that soul's lens that sees things from a bigger picture and with a loving light? And the only way really is just through starting with your belief and with your imagination. And allowing those things to come alive, feeding them. And they will teach you, they will unlock the doors to everything else. Do you see? As long as you're doing it with a positive intent. Do you see? What we're going to do for this first meditation, I don't normally tend to go into the chakras for certain reasons, but tonight we're going to go into the chakras a little bit. Does everyone know what the chakras are? Anyone not? We're going to go into them a little bit, And does anyone know kind of what the etheric body is? Anyone not?
You said etheric?
Etheric.
I'm not entirely sure.
So it's hard for our physical body is not the cause of things, it's the effect. Do you see? Our physical body and our subconscious is an accumulation of experiences that then project onto the world and then kind of run the way that we see and interact with things. The idea is if you can pull, as you're learning to meditate and as you're connecting up to more subtle realms, you're bringing your consciousness into a new set of bodies. Just like for people, a lot of people in the autistic spectrum, they spend a lot more time in the emotional astral realm than they do in the physical realm. And so they're a lot more connected, for instance, telepathically, right? And so what we're doing in a way is we're building a set of bodies that take us further and further out into the ether. The body that's closest to us is our etheric body. Our etheric body is kind of where our chakras are in all the bodies, but the main set of our chakras is in the etheric body, which for tonight's meditation, we're going to say is basically just 6 inches behind your spine. Okay? The idea in the etheric body is that brings through, we have free will, how we're going to interact with our world, but we also, outside of that tunnel of free will, is guiding influences coming to us from the spiritual realm that kind of help direct us in our path towards a common evolution and towards learning our lessons and things like that. Those energies come in through our etheric body and then push through into our glandular system and then create, for instance, it creates a few different things, but one of the things it creates is chemistry. And so it releases different types of things. Each of the chakras is actually related to one of the seven major, I guess, glands that are non-duct glands that basically bring through certain secretions that kind of push us forward towards growth and learning and experiences. And so we're going to tie into those things, but the etheric body is kind of where we're going to focus, and we're going to bring through that energy into our chakras. You don't have to know any of this stuff. In other words, if I go through and I say something and you don't know what that word means or whatever, it's still going to work. That's the way things work on the quantum level. You don't have to worry about it. Just allow your stuff to stay as open or as closed as you like during the meditation. But we're just trying to see so we're allowing lights to come through, because what I'm doing is effectively for this meditation, opening us up to our crystal healing ability so we can tap into the next meditation. I know that's not going to make much sense, but that's the platform that we're doing. So for your etheric body, as you picture your etheric body, picture kind of like a little aura, right? So picture it to be a certain color, the etheric body. So I wrote down a few little hints. You can decide whatever color you want that etheric body to be, but in order to give it a little bit of substance. But I wanted to give a couple things just in case. If you're someone right now who feels like you're dealing with a lot of congestion or needs some more pranic flow in your body, picture that etheric body to be orange or peach. If you're dealing with any kind of inflammation or fever or anything like that, or if you just want a general healing coming through, picture it to be green. If you're dealing with things with your nervous system, vitalization, trying to remove some depression or debilitation or questioning about your will to live, then I want you to focus your etheric body being rose. You can choose another color if you want, or if any of you need help choosing where your etheric body is right now, just ask. Okay, so drop into your meditative state. Give yourself permission to suspend all disbelief. To allow things to flow. See if you can let go of all the descriptors of who you think you are. By letting go of that stuff, you're creating some space for your soul to direct some light through. With a breath, see if you can feel into your etheric body. Try to give it a little bit of a pulse, a coloration. Feel a little bit of energy a few inches behind your spine, going up and down. And in that etheric body, notice your root chakra, gathering the inpouring light. And have this inpouring light beam into your physical body, just behind your kidneys, through to your adrenal glands. Allow this light to be charged with the intention of, I embrace life. Allowing that to circulate. Root chakra, etheric body, past the kidneys, illuminating the adrenals with the intention in that light of I embrace life. You don't have to qualify how you embrace life. You don't have to define it. Just I embrace life. Allowing that to come alive. And then returning to the etheric body, to the sacral flower, second chakra. Transitioning to the intention of I love and accept myself. Allowing this to stream into and forward into the physical body, through your lower abdomen, until this energy is broadcast through your sexual organs. Feel it as it flushes through any blockages. I love and accept myself. Allowing a cleansing, purification to continue, a cellular activation to awaken, returning to your etheric body with your attention to the point just behind your spine where you would find your solar plexus. With the focused will of I belong in community. Allow this light to shine forward into your physical body through your pancreas, producing healthy levels of insulin. I belong in community, remembering who you are. Next, get in touch with your heart chakra, located about 6 inches behind your upper chest. Allowing that energy to flow through your thymus glands while hold the attention of opening to your intuition. As you do this, feel your immune system strengthening, as well as your willingness to venture into the unknown. Never alone, always connected. Opening to your intuition. Now find the point of the throat chakra in your etheric counterpart. While giving yourself express permission to have unbridled creativity. Allow this to flow through to your thyroid glands. With this, feel your metabolism kicking into high gear as you eat up all that life has to offer. As this clarity comes in, you realize this is directly related to the pace at which you are able to live a long and healthy life with keen perceptions. Now let's travel to the collective third eye, the seat of the soul, which regulates our susceptibility to light, the meeting point where our body touches our soul. Bringing forth a desired intent that you are the master painter on this canvas of life. Allowing this light to awaken the pineal gland. Feel yourself aligning and attuning to life's biorhythms. And lastly, let us find a clear channel for our master cell to beam white light directly into our pituitary gland. With this, our motherly instincts fully awaken. Feeling both simultaneously nurtured and lovingly accepting of all. Seeing yourself, if not actually, at least potentially, as a crystalline healer. Allowing your auric field to grow as your light radiates. See if you can notice the subtle differences between your physical and etheric bodies. No judgments, no comparisons. It could be visualization, it could be imagination. It could be seeing, it could be hearing, it could be smelling, it could be a thought. It all works. A smell, a taste, a symbol, an animal, a flower. Then slowly bring that light all back into your heart, clearing and purifying, sending that light down into the ground, and then back up through your whole body. And then when you're ready, open your eyes. Coming back to the room for the conclusion of our first meditation that will lead into the second in a little while. How was your nap?
Very well.
We're going to just pass it around. If there's anything that you want to share, anything that came up for you, any struggle inside, whatever, feel free. You liked it, you didn't like it. And if not, just pass the feather along. So the next meditation that we go into, basically the real meditation I was told not to share because it was irresponsible. Because you want to be really careful with things, that if you open things up too quickly, that it can cause more harm than good. You might even feel good at first, you see, but that's why it's so important and why we spend so much time working on here, talking about things around character development, how to approach life, because that's really the most important thing. Everything else is, eventually we're all going to learn it at some point, and we already know it. It's just remembering it. You see, so there's no rush to get there. The important part is really just focus on your experiences being, how do you get really present with your experiences and then get into the relationship of those experiences. And when I say relations, I don't just mean with people, I mean the things behind the forms, to the soul of the things, you see? So it's the same thing with healing work. Healing work has different bodies. Everything is the same across from the little atom to the whole solar system. It's all the microcosm to the macro. It's all the same. And so we tend to look at things as just wherever we find it in that moment, right? Because that's how we relate to things, because that's all we kind of know. But we don't really have ways to gauge, what's it really like to be thinking through the brain of a dog, for instance. What we do is we project our mind onto how we think a dog might be thinking, right? But that's a completely different level of consciousness. That consciousness is inside of us, but we're a greater whole, right? And so the same thing happens with healings. See, the idea in the healings is to give you the experiences. But what a lot of people do is when they start to feel sufferings or pains, they want it to end. And so we tend to do the quick fixes to things. Do you see? And so some of the more ancient teachings on healings, the example, there's many of them, but really trying to connect into the physical body and through to the etheric. For instance, one of them would be acupuncture. And it can really help people with physical and energetic alignments and things like that. But you got to remember this. Most of the healings we need are actually connected through to our emotional body, to our emotions and our thoughts and our lessons, right? And so if you made all of the stuff just go away, you wouldn't get those lessons. The body's very wise. It's trying to push things forward on us, to get us to slow down sometimes or to pay attention. It might not be appreciated in the moment, but it's really trying to help us. You see, that's that loving intent again. And so the idea in the physical side is, at first what you're learning is techniques and points to touch and how to will things through, right? The will in the beginning is being done here in the lower chakras. You're known as basically you'd refer to as a yellowed-bodied healer. And what that means basically is you're willing through your techniques and stuff like that, healings for people, right? And if the person is aligned and believes in you as that facilitator, it's going to occur. But because you're willing it through, a lot of times those healings aren't going to stick. And so you're going to have repeat visits by people over time. And so what you're doing, as any practiced healer does, is you start to then intuit certain things in your healings. The books give you the foundation, but then you go behind it. So each person that you connect with could be completely different. They could have a whole different set of colors for their chakras, depending where they are on the evolutionary ladder, for instance. So you can't always apply the same thing, right? And then we get into the age that we're at now with healings, to where a lot of the healing work or a lot of things that's being taught to people is through things like breath work and Reiki and some of these things that can produce a lot of phenomenal experiences, right? Like you can see, but it's just showing you glimpses. But a lot of the work that's being done, like shamanic journeying and past life review and stuff like that, it's going, the emotional body is a polarity between both ends. And so if you're going to do that kind of work, you feel like you got to experience it and understanding from every single level, and it feels like it takes forever before you get the healing work. And what I'm trying to say is none of those things are wrong, but they're stages. And we're now at a stage with these transitions happenings where we can start to actually heal from our light body instead. We can start to see the soul in things taking it a little bit lighter so you don't have to go down and get to the 5 lifetimes ago. What happened to you with X, Y, and Z? If you were meant to truly have that, you wouldn't be given the gift of forgetting. You got to trust in your soul that your soul chose certain things for this one lifetime. Do you see? I'm not saying don't go do those things and have fun with them, but I'm saying just put them in the right perspective. Do you see? And all of your things, if you could just pull back a little bit and see that thing from that loving light when you're feeling most positive, things can really come to light. I'm not saying positive like you're always in a good mood. That's connected again to your body. I'm saying the positive light of your soul versus the denseness of the personality. There's always that relation. They're both important, but they need their just proportion. And that's what humility is. It's putting things in just proportion. Do you see? And so that's what we're practicing, learning, trying to figure out how to do in our own ways. No one person more important than the other, coming together as a group. Everyone with their own wisdoms and insights. But then also everyone realize that if you're not looking at things from the soul, you're looking at things through a mask. And so it's going to be distorted. And you got to be willing to look at that and say, maybe my view is a little distorted. Maybe I'm not seeing the big picture. And if I'm not seeing the big picture, who am I to judge? Right? If you can do that, the light comes through and it starts to teach you the true impact of what the physical body is telling you. It's just listening to its messages and to its programs. Do you see? If you start to pull back, then you can start to pick out and see your life's lessons. You can start to connect the dots of how things are coming together. And all the things that in your past seemed random actually are leading up and building towards something that's showing you a picture towards your greater purpose. It's always there for every single person in our own stage, not to be rushed, right? Because as soon as you try to rush it, as soon as you try to control it, you're back down here again. You're into your lower bodies, you're into your lower chakras. You're no longer about love. That's the hard thing. So how do you really embrace the present moment and the things that you're encountering and really be present for them? Even if it does cause some pain or some questions or some unanswered things, and still appreciate it. Do you see? The better we can do with that, the better humanity is going to be, because it ripples. We're building a collective consciousness. Do you see? Not trying to control who is elected or who does this or what this trade thing does or anything. That's an illusion. There's energies behind it. And you get to decide, do you want to give it love or do you want to give it fear and control? How you make those decisions is setting you up for all of your lifetimes to come. Do you see? Any questions or thoughts before we go into our meditation? Feel free. Or if anything's come up for you, or you are creating karma, and you're still gonna, you can make whatever your choice you want, it's still gonna come at you, and it's just gonna eventually cause eruptions in your etheric and then into your physical body. But you can choose other lessons to focus upon. And people build those things, and that's part of the internal free will. And you can do lots of techniques to avoid it, like mantras, Reiki, being really busy at work, focusing really in on something else, lots of distractions. And those can be healthy in the short term, but in the long term, it's still gonna come back to you. But most of the times when you think you know what your personal lesson is, you don't know it yet. You got to really go into it, and what it's going to show you is that there's things underneath that are going to come more alive with it. Do you see what I'm saying? Because you got to remember, you're looking at it through a really clouded lens. And so it might seem really true to you, but that doesn't mean that's what that personal lesson is yet. Do you see what I'm saying? Kind of with that. The only way to do it is to make love with it. Make it your friend. You are not broken. That's just a story that you tell yourself. You are love. You see? Next time when we meet, there was another point to this. It goes from a healing point to a discriminative point. And there's levels to that. But I was asked to hold that off until next time we meet. But that'll tie into that, seeing how that applies. Anyone else? If there's more you want to follow up on that, feel free. I mean, I also think everything will come in its own time. So even if you decide not to work on it, it's what's so much more important than that decision, because it's not about the choices so much as it is the intent behind it. I just can't handle you right now. Sorry. Okay, but I love you. I'll come back to you later. Do you see? That's the important thing. Do you see? So you don't feel like, oh, I'm broken, or it's like when someone takes a medication. Are they taking it thinking, oh man, I'm flawed? Oh man, it's going to do these things. Then what's it going to do? It's going to listen as your body interacts with it. To me, the way that you take medications is you bring it in as a blessed teacher to reveal itself to you. And then over time, maybe you can test sitting it down for a little bit and seeing if you can remember the good things and still have them inside of you, because now you've trained your body, or whether you need to bring that thing back. We all take different supplements. Do you see? And we all make different choices. All of them, though, have an intent behind it. And remember, you are the one in charge. Nothing else. Don't hand away your power. If somehow you can greet things like with a reverence, like, oh, this is my beautiful teacher coming forward. What can you show me? Do you see? I'm not saying that literally you can do that all the time, but what I'm saying is the more you can get practice at that in all things. So then it starts to train the subconscious. This is how you act. So I don't even have to be conscious. And now you see, you can reprogram in anything. That's what that physical body is. It's just most people live most of their life based on programmings that they got somewhere around 6 or 7 years old of how they're supposed to act with others, or how do they gain other people's attention, or how do they protect themselves and all these things. And they just keep running that same script. And they think they have to go back because that person's in charge of them. It's not true. Unless you believe it to be. Do you see what I'm saying? You can write a whole new script. You can all of a sudden be like, hey, now I'm the parent. And what am I going to bring into my world? Instead of judging the other parents, say, okay, you were there, but now I'm here. I'm in charge. You see what I'm saying? You can rewrite the scripts at any time. I'm not.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
that's how
but-
I feel.
but what
I
I'm-
feel.
what-
I don't understand.
All of those things are not you. They are not you. That's the illusion. You accumulate and you believe it. And so it becomes true for you, but they're not you. They're just things that you attune to. Do you see? And so you created forms around it, and then you identified as those forms, but they are not you. They are just lessons that you attune to. You chose, hey, I want to get these couple college courses while I'm in this body this time. So try to bring that through to me magnetically. That's what love is. Magnetically calling in your lessons. Do you see? But they're not you. But they're coming from love. Do you see? So if you can get behind the forms of it to the soul of the thing, then the great teacher awakens. Do you see? And also just remember that it's all about your attention and your intention. You get to decide what to focus on. And so if you try to tackle 15 different lessons at once, you might as well tackle none of them. So what you have to do with your discipline and with you being in charge is you say, hey, guess what? I see you, but right now I'm focusing over here. I'll get to you eventually. I'm not trying to make you the redheaded stepchild, right? I'm just saying that not right now. Right now my focus is over here. And you can you can do that. Do you see? But prioritization is not what most people think it is. Most people think that prioritization is basically whatever comes up to your attention. Do you see? The idea in prioritization is you get to decide what to focus on. But most of the time, let's say we're having this talk and your phone rings, you don't know who's calling on that other phone, but you go and you prioritize by putting your energy over there. You just made that the important thing. Do you see? So most people prioritize not based on what's important to them, but just whatever's grabbing their attention.
External demand.
Kind of like what's in front of you.
But you are always in charge of prioritization. Do you see? That's what intention and attention is all about. Do you see? You get to decide. But most people focus a lot of their prioritization on the things that's unimportant to them in their world. Okay, we're going to drop into our final meditation because it's getting kind of late. So feel free to lay down. Feel free to follow the words. If you drift away, feel free to drift away. Either way, the energies will work. Give yourself permission to be fully present, to allow your soul's light to come in. Feel yourself connecting into the earth below, grounded, your energies. But the more you ground in, the more you start to expand. Just like the tree roots, the more the roots go down, the more the branches can reach out. So you start to expand, going further and further out, connecting with this room, connecting with these grounds, allowing yourself to safely and securely connect out to the space above. Find yourself just floating around in space. Feel the intensity of the sunlight, of the sun. Attune to the circling of the planets within the magnetic influence of the Father-Sun. As the sun and the planets rhythmically dance and circle around our solar system. Notice the constellations of Sirius, the Great Bear, and Pleiades uniting together to form a magical triangle in the sky. Remember and recognize how the sun's light is channeled through this pyramid to birth the living light from which we all came. Feel yourself being drawn towards the rings of Saturn, where the great guardians sit. Enter these rings, and there within find the seat of your soul, sitting there in meditation. And from there, it's time to venture in, to venture out, to be born into this earthly experience. So start to feel yourself getting denser as you tap back into the earthly bodies, but find yourself standing in the deserts of Egypt. Below you, each grain of sand represents an experience you accumulated in one of your lifetimes. And ahead of you is a pyramid, which represents all of these experiences gathered up and synthesized together to create this one big shape. Walk forward and enter into the corridor of the pyramid, going about a third of the way up to the king's chamber, the chamber of healing. Notice over on the wall, there is a light dimmer switch. This switch has a dial ranging from 1 to 10, which represents the intensity of the degree to which you want to feel your collective experiences. But you notice that this switch also has a safety. So you cannot tune higher than a 7 out of 10. Decide now how high or low you want this feeling to be of these experiences. And notice as you playfully interact. Slowly turn down the dial. And as you do, notice how it changes the colorations of the room. Notice in the center of this room is a large massage table with a deeply penetrating light surrounding this table. This light ranges from a deep red color around the place where your feet would go, transitioning up to a violet color about the space where your head would be placed. You also notice that there's 7 stones in a symmetrical circle around this massage table. There's a stone to represent each of the colors of your chakras. Use your intuition to choose one of these colors, one of these crystal stones that will be used to give you a full healing experience as you lay down on this table. The purpose of this table, the intersections of the red to the violet, is to give you a system reboot so you're no longer so weighed down or your light so distorted by the accumulated experiences that are blocking you from being fully whole and consciously present. It is your choice. You can just stay in the room where you are, meditating, or you can go and lay down on the table. If you go to the table, lay down with your head at the violet, your feet at the red. Feel the healing energies gently cleansing your aura. Feel the waves of light gently washing back and forth. Now allow that light of that crystal you chose to come levitate over your energetic field. Notice as it starts to gravitate and hover above the chakra, which has the greatest need. Feel the blessings of this crystal wash over your energetic systems as these two synchronize. And notice as that chakra begins to radiate with life. As you lay here, the epiphany comes in and you realize you don't need to get any denser. It's time for you to revolve and turn the other way towards the light. You realize that you can simultaneously embrace the distortions and colorations of life while helping one another to walk home. And with this you feel lighter, more playful, more humble, more open to learning and growing, feeling the truth of your childlike spirit come alive again. But this time, you are no longer overly impressed or swayed by that which you used to judge as being either overly negative or overly positive. You still feel and engage with life, but guided by the light of your soul. With this, you feel an immense power as all of your bodies begin to tingle and come alive in the rightful order that only you know. From this perspective, you can look ahead at life and realize that you are the author of the play. So play. And realize that life responds based on your intentions, based on your attention. And with your next breath, find yourself back outside of that pyramid. You notice all the sand below your feet sparkles with a loving light. You gaze up into the sky and notice the blood moon. And its teachings about deep transformation, the end of this karmic cycle. With its strong urge to release that which no longer serves us and to embrace new beginnings with clarity and purpose. Notice the synchronicities, the blessings. Bathe in the moonlight. Then slowly find your way back to these grounds. Feeling yourself back rooted with us here. Feeling yourself purified, cleansed, full of love and light. Taking a deep breath, allowing yourself to wiggle back into this space, adjusting the hips, rolling the shoulders, blinking the eyes. Your body might be tired, but your mind is alert. Recognize the discipline between the two so that your mind leads and your body follows, each in their important roles. We're kind of getting close to the end of tonight. We only have a few minutes left, so we'll open it up to you guys here in a moment just to see if there's anything from that you'd like to share, any insights. We don't have time to go around to anyone, but we'll just see if anything came up. But tonight is the lunar eclipse occurring. So if you really want to embrace the end of cycles and new beginnings, I would highly encourage you to get up, have the discipline to wake up sometime around 2 a.m. and just go out and look at the moon for even just a few moments.
Thank you for having us here.
Yeah.
What a wonderful gift.
Yeah, I think it's really important to balance that, the seriousness and the play, the laughter and the focus. There's always a dance going on between that, and it's important to honor them both. Just like it's important to honor your lessons and your soul. If you were meant just to be in the soul, you wouldn't come into these bodies. So there's a reason for it, and to really honor and appreciate that at your own pace. Remember, we'll all get there. There's no rush, but just grow and focus on that growth. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us tonight and for sharing your medicine, and blessings, blessings, blessings.